I have 6:08. Do you want to get started, Roger?
Yeah, I think we should. So welcome everyone to the February 2nd, 2021 card meeting. Beth, do you think we need to do introductions, or just as people talk, they can introduce themselves? Are you able to?
Yeah, probably. We have a long.
Yeah, we got like
a long agenda again.
Yeah. And as long as you can do the attendance.
Yeah.
You can always message them.
Yes. I know who the callers are.
Yeah. So why don't you go ahead and I'm Roger Rail. I'm chair of CARD and chair of Sci Residence for Safe Water, and I've been watching over the Paul Gelman Danaher dioxane site for 27 plus years. And it's getting old. Go ahead, Beth. You want to talk about the minutes?
Yes. This is a board vote to approve the minutes from last month, January 5th. I need a motion for that from somebody.
I'll put a motion for that.
Vince. And somebody second?
Second.
Roger. And everyone approve or? Yes.
Yes.
I'm trying to hunt down my laptop, so I'm trying to hunt down my raise hand button. I have a suggested correction. My memory, so under old business, the second paragraph down is he, that being Dan, stated, no, the trend analysis review is not done. My memory was what he said was they're not working on it at all. And if that's correct, I think the minute should state that.
Is that correct, Dan Hamel?
Well, I mean, at this point right now, he is correct. We've done work on it, and I hope to have, like I said, something done by the end of the first quarter. So, I mean, if you want to know within the last 2 weeks, last month, no, not a lot of work has been done.
Actually, my memory was in the last 2 months, last two meetings we had, you said nobody was working on it now.
Okay. No, there has been some work. I've worked on it in the sense of what are the bullets that I need to fill in. So but not a lot of work.
But you are still anticipating having one by the end of the first quarter.
It's my goal. Okay.
And I will reflect the minutes to that, Mike, for last minutes. And then.
Well, we could make this is the version of it that I'm looking at right now, right? Do you see this on the screen? Mm-hmm. Or do you still see it in the agenda?
Yeah, but it's no, we see it.
Okay, so I could, what changes do you want to make here? Just trend analysis review has been worked on, but is not done.
Well, they have not been working on it since the CJ came out, but he still expects to have it by the end of the first quarter, 2021.
But well, that's what he says now. But that's well, I don't think it's that big a deal. To the wording on this, it's pretty clear that it hasn't been done the last several months, because the minutes say that. I don't want to hold up this meeting for wordsmithing.
Well, yeah, do we need to re-vote on the minutes then, as amended?
We didn't vote yet.
We didn't vote yet.
Okay. I'll
moved and seconded.
Okay.
I'll move the motion.
And all in favor?
Aye.
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 Great.
Thanks.
Minutes are approved.
Thanks, Beth. Good job.
Okay. So people had an opportunity to review the agenda here before the meeting. And are there anybody got any last minute agenda items they want to add now, or you want to do it later?
At some point, I'd like to talk about what City of Ann Arbor voted on to up their contribution to the law firm they hired to continue working on Gelman, $150,000.
Okay.
They're up.
That'll be an item 6.
They're up to 700.
Yeah, we'll
I didn't
cover
see
that
that
at
on
the
the
end.
agenda. I don't know when it got added.
Yeah,
No, I mean the city council agenda. Yeah.
Right. All right, so going right into the EGLE Old Business, Dan Hamel. These should be just quick responses on these.
Yep. The first item there, no changes. Brian Nagel, we have not gotten the judge to release that information yet, so we are in the same. The data and information is under the confidentiality agreement. The second confidentiality agreement and circulate to public. Yes, confidentiality was sent by Brian Nagel to Mr. Moran Rita in May 2018. Dan Bicknell also then sent it to a smaller group of CARD in discussions in October 2018. And so it's out in the, to the CARD group, so members of CARD group. So, I mean, I have it also if you want to send it out. Like after the meeting here, I can send it to Beth. But, we did send that out. There was some confusion. Brian had thought at one of the CARD meetings, there was confusion that it may be, the confidentiality agreement may be confidential, but he cleared that up and sent it out, like I said, in May 2018 to Mike.
Yeah,
and,
I can confirm I received it and passed it on.
And then Dan, like I said, in discussions during that year, Dan and Bicknell also sent it out to a bigger group within CARD as he, as in an email as preemptive some discussions at CARD. We just talked about the trend analysis, so that one has been answered. The new status compliance, well, like I said last time, is there are 3 wells were replaced in September 2019. And again, we are waiting for reconciliation or identification by the judge to identify that the CJ has been rejected, not going through the court, or will be brought back up through the court. And if that occurs, then we will require or discuss with Gelman a scheduling of the installation of new compliance monitoring well to monitor the current 3rd amended CJ. The monitoring wells not tested, Roger. I sent it to Jenny and copied you, Roger. I did. Gelman presented me with some information related to the 20 wells that Jenny Kahn had a question on, which I said I would be the start of evaluating the monitoring wells. Roger, you can send that out. That it's an Excel spreadsheet. You can share it with the group. Let me get mine up. Of course, just a second here.
I
basically identified.
I spent several hours this afternoon comparing it with the list that I have. And there are some that are missing, and I will review that with you. Then,
well, as I said, Roger, this came back from Jenny. This question originally came from Jenny Kahn,
right? And
so, as a start of evaluating wells, I used her list that she wanted some information on.
Yeah.
So I sent that. That's what my first discussions were with Gelman. The Excel spreadsheet identifies the well name, what is the frequency per the monitoring plans, approved monitoring plans that were approved in 2011 for the Eastern, Western, and Little Lake area. And this date, basically what monitoring plan it's in, the source, and the last date it was sampled, and the most recent concentration and the reason for not sampling. For example, some of them, identified in the monitoring plan that it does not need to be sampled anymore, or it was deleted from long-term monitoring. One of the things I did want to point out, it's through the inquiries, Jenny's inquiry and your inquiries and my asking to get some answers, was that Gelman made a mistake in not sampling the wells that were identified as on the list, that were identified and in the monitoring plan identified as biannual sampling, meaning every 2 years. The program they had, that their sampler, basically it was programmed incorrectly. So when he went in and punched into the months or the week, what's required sampling for him, it did not present those ones that were identified as biannual. So he missed. There was several missed. So they went out in January here and sampled those ones that were on that list. Any of the biannuals and got current information. It's presented on this list, the ones that match up on, and then their January sampling report, and then also their report that I use to update my Access database will have these results in for January on those wells. As my quick I got the information yesterday afternoon. My quick evaluation, the data, the most recent, the concentrations were the same within the range of being identified as the same as the last time they were sampled. So Rod, I did identify to them that there'll be additional questions on additional wells. So if you want to pass some questions on to me, I'll get them on my list, and we will continue the discussion with Gelman. I will continue the discussion with Gelman to make sure any questions about sampling frequencies are answered. I want to also then point out that these monitoring plans will be changed with the implementation of CJ mod, and all the wells will be reevaluated. And again, I've stated that the trend analysis will be used as part of that evaluation to come up with a sampling frequency to start off with any new monitoring plans.
Yeah, I'll have some, besides the emissions, I'll have some corrections that need to be made on that.
Okay, send me the corrections.
Yeah.
Again, this was with Gelman's information. I did not go through in detail. Like I said, I got it last night.
Yeah, and when I went through, I've also I've showed the trends for the ones that were stopped sampling, and because the trends really make a difference on whether you should stop sampling or not.
That's why we wanted to use a trend analysis as an evaluation for any future monitoring plans. Okay. As far as that next bullet, I don't know if Evan's on, but as everybody was made aware of, he did send out a letter to Gelman. Gelman had sent a letter to him identifying that they are receptive to meeting and start the discussion about the illicit discharge.
Yeah, Evan is on.
Illicit discharge. And so he sent out a letter to them. Pardon me?
Evan.
He sent out a letter, I believe, Beth, you sent it out to everybody. And then the next step is Evan, we will get together. We'll get a meeting together with the Washtenaw County, EGLE, both RRD and WRD, who Water Resources Division are the ones that regulate the MS4 program. Evan, for those of you who don't know, as the Water Resources Commissioner in Washtenaw County, the permit holder is Washtenaw County. So the MS4 permit holder. So they will get together with Gelman and start the discussion and identify what the requirements are going to be to investigate and eliminate the illicit discharge. The date has not been identified yet. I think the letter went out on Friday, was that, I believe, Thursday or Friday last week. So that's where we are. Pardon me?
Sunday night.
Oh, what? Oh, I'm sorry, Evan. You're on there.
No,
okay.
No problem. You had covered.
Okay. Yeah, that's what you're right. Sunday night. And I saw it Sunday night too. So I just didn't get so many. We're getting so many back and about Gelman. So I had the wrong date.
How about the outfall from the Allen's Creek? That is probably a high number now, considering West Park is at 49, if not higher, since it was last tested. We have people downstream of that routinely at the Cascades, and I think we should keep track of what's going on down there. And
well, we've never heard EGLE outfall.
Do you think it's important to sample an outfall if residents are being exposed?
That's something that will be determined. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Well, I just want that to be on the record.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not necessarily, I'm
opposed.
Well, yeah, I'm not opposed at all. I mean, I'm just saying your statement that it's likely a high concentration there. I'm not sure I agree that one, that you can't make that yet until we sample it, but just realize that where our discharge goes in to the whole Allen Creek system, there is a lot of CFM that's added to it, down gradient of where we're saying, and goes out that drain. So there may be a lot of dilution. So
wait a minute. When there's a very dry season, most of the outfall is going to be coming from West Park, in my opinion, because that's where I hear a lot of flow, and 8th Street as well. I'm not sure the other parts of the drain are as high flow as those, and those have 49 part per billion, and then 8th Street was 12 part, I think. I don't know.
Well, for example, Vince, the MSU up at their stadium, they 24/7, they're pumping, dewatering their stadium area, and that goes into the Allen Creek drain. So there's a lot of
U of M, not MSU.
Yeah, I live at MSU, so sorry guys. I'm indifferent. I went to West Virginia University. I'm making no choices here.
We get all your coaches.
You're right.
Stuff that comes in, that is added.
Well, let's test it and see what the values are.
That's the only way to get an answer.
And Vince, you might recall the Allen Creek plans that I shared with you of the U of M athletic campus. You and Bob show a lot of direct connections. There's a bunch of 6-inch connections to basically dewater that area. I feel like the athletic campus was probably a big swamp before they built it. So at least the groundwater is quite high there. So just keep that in mind.
So I'm sure that, definitely.
But I still think it's worth testing.
Definitely as part of the meeting here, to eliminate illicit discharge and just see what the down gradient effects are currently, that sampling, which, as I stated last month, I mean, in the end, we have been getting information at your CARD and stakeholders' requests, which has been good information. It also allows us to evaluate groundwater. It's lines of evidence for groundwater. But my goal is to that eliminating that illicit discharge is really Gelman's responsibility, and I'm going to want them to be doing the sampling as opposed to EGLE part of their program. And I think, Evan, that's what our, my goal will be, and WRD, I mean, too, because I'm working with, working with them. You just see my face monthly. So.
Well, what's in the pipe, what's in the drain pipe is only an indication of what's in the groundwater. It's not a substitute for finding out what's in the groundwater that might be exposing people.
That's part of what I'm sure we'll be, I will be requesting that we talk about at the meeting, because, I mean, it's impacting the pipe. What are the actual concentrations?
Oh, I think we're having exposures probably in basements already on the west side. And it's just the numbers are going up every month, I'm sure. Every time it's tested, it's gone up. And there was some discussion as to whether it would, keep going up, but obviously it is. And I think that's very unfortunate. And Gelman is very calcitrant. They don't want to deal with it. It's our job to make them deal with it.
Vince. We need to move on.
It's our neighborhood. It's our community. Yep.
The MW 103, no new information. I mean, we are basically, there was in October, starting in October and November, there was concentrations above 85 as we have identified. We're waiting to see where the CJ is going with relationship to the prohibition zone. Just for your information, the number in December went back down below 85 to 76, and that has usually what happens in that time of year is that when we've had numbers above 85, it usually does it for 2-3 months and then goes back down, and then it seems to be in the fall, early winter, before, like at the end of the years when that occurs. There's no actions currently planned as we see what's happening with the if this third, and as I stated, the letters that were sent in 2013 and 14 are suggested response activities. Again, they are not as they are regulation letters, compliance identification letters. And so they aren't as strong as a CJ requirement. There really is not a fallback unless we go to court separately and require that. The next one is the HCHR. There's really no difference, from the last time. It's not part of the third CJ requirement. It's a separate agreement with Ann Arbor. And EGLE, I don't know whether if the city is planning to include it in their briefs submitted to the court that are coming up here. That would be the cities. The cities would be doing that as part of their brief, since it's a separate agreement.
Does anybody from the city on the screen want to know anything more about that?
We could just carry it over to next month and see if the quarterly Brian might come or.
Right. The quarterly will be the beginning of March, but it will be the hearing will not, and submittal dates have been pushed, so we may not have a lot of information. I don't the dates for the interveners are their submittals have been moved. That's later on too, but to February 12th, 2021. Gelman response is February 26th, and then our EGLE's response to the Gelman's response and the interveners is March 12th, and the new hearing is March 22nd and 23rd.
Yeah, bromate's a big deal for Ann Arbor. We don't want a high number on that. It's already a problem for the city.
The next one about the DHHS adjusting VI numbers. That just realize that DHHS will not, that 29 is the screening number that was developed by RRD. It's not DHHS, but we, as I said before, they are not, no new information on updating the screening number. Currently, the screening number that is now been put into the VI guidance document is 1900. It's not a promulgated criteria. That 1900 is the proposed criteria to be promulgated, but we did put it in in 2020. We did update the 2013 guidance document. And so that is in there as a kind of a guidance and it's 1900. I don't have any new information on if that will be evaluated and reduced.
Hey, Dan, it's Kristen from County Health Department. I did check with DHHS and they did confirm that the VI is a site-specific screening number. It doesn't, they don't have a plan to promulgate it into a rule. They promulgated it into a rule, site-specific for this site. And they did take a look at, hold on, let me read it from the email I got. So they did review the 2020 EPA risk evaluation, and they were basing this 29 on the 2013 inhalation unit risk. And they didn't see anything in the 2020 EPA review that would change that or invalidate it. So they still think that it's a valid number, if that's helpful.
Is that a document that they sent you, Kristen?
It was an email.
Is it a document or is it just in an email?
The sentence I read you is an email.
Okay. It seems like that would be good to have in the card archives.
Yeah. So I did send out, so, and Dan was right, it's EGLE's promulgated value. And I sent that out a couple of times to this group already. Everyone's received that, right?
So this email is just confirming that, right?
Yep. Well, and I think Bob Bailey had a question last month about whether or not EPA's 2020 risk evaluation would have changed that. And so I just went through and confirmed that it did not change it. It's still a valid number.
Okay, thanks. Okay.
So we kind of skipped over the tests in Scioto Township potentially for shallow groundwater. If there's any potential tests that those areas should be tested.
Up here?
I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, on number.
Well, again, it's with the whole group related. That's under kind of the Allen Creek drain testing. So I believe that will be covered under that meeting. It's not, Washtenaw County, Allen Creek drain illicit discharge. So
this is Scioto Township where they have a high water table, and whether that water table is contaminated and percolating the basements or not.
Yeah, it's not necessarily Allen Creek drain.
They said, Vince, yeah, well, and I did say that we will, that EGLE, RRD's, going to be asking about the total site, the total investigation needed to identify in the shallow groundwater to identify, specifically the illicit discharge. So the shallow groundwater, that will be part of that discussion at the upcoming meeting. So that's a start.
I think though this question was asking if you guys have the next testing dates or month, maybe even of when you're going to do more testing in the drain.
Okay,
and possibly do it
inside. In the drain testing, sampling of the drain. Is that what you're asking? And as I said, no, we have not identified dates. We'll identify dates, I'm sure, as we, during the meeting or suggested requesting a schedule from, from Gelman about sampling and then also the other, what I believe is going to be required, and I believe WRD is going to, will be required from WRD is additional investigation activities related to sampling the shallow groundwater to to see what are the concentrations that will be are impacting and potentially impact the Allen Creek drain and
basements.
The MS4, the MS4 / illicit discharge.
So we're talking about shallow groundwater in this area along Park Road.
So that'll be that'll be covered. I know I'll bring it up.
Thanks. So what did we leave off?
Okay, I didn't remember where.
I think we're down here to item C, aren't we? Is my screen sharing still coming through okay?
Yeah, but we're getting the map of SCIO, so we're past that, and we back to the agenda. Yeah, there you go.
I think my internet had a little hiccup there.
We're getting a little behind, but if there's a specific question or what have you.
Do you know if this is in the county's briefs to take to the judge? I mean, the attorneys are taking this stuff to the judge, I'm assuming, at these, right? Somebody is. EGLE,
As soon as we got the
county's attorneys, the city's.
I'm sorry, Beth, go ahead and finish. Okay. As soon as we received those sampling results from Dan last fall, Kristen beat me to the punch. I think we might have gotten a heads up over the weekend. We let legal counsel know that was an issue, that was a concern. I'm not sure how much we can talk about what is or isn't in there, but I believe as soon as they file their brief, it's going to be public, just like Gelman's recent filing was public. I believe that's how that situation works. So
I think then the notice that was sent out about Gelman being in violation, it should have really discussed the civil and criminal penalties, as well as the fact that there's no contamination allowed in the drain, and they're responsible for that. So that needs to be made sure that they understand.
Rita Mitchell, did you have a question or comment?
Thanks, Beth. Vince just gave my question. The question is, is there a penalty that will be discussed with the polluter?
So, Evan, you're saying you can't say anything more about that item C?
Yeah, probably fair enough. And again, whether or not it's in the briefs, they've got a deadline that's coming up pretty quick for filing the brief from the intervener's side. It'll definitely be filed before our next meeting.
So is that going to be filed this week with this meeting?
I do not know the date, or I would have said the date. I'm sorry.
The dates, Roger, I said the dates. The new order from the court, the filing dates for the interveners is February 12th. The new filing date for the Gelman response is February 26th. And then the filing date for the EGLE's response to the interveners and Gelman's is March 12th. And then the actual hearing, which everybody gets together with the judge, is March 22nd to the 23rd.
Dan, where are you reading that?
Well, it's from the court issued an order that just like it's basically the fourth amended scheduling order. So I can send that. I can send that to the card core if you'd like I did last time. Last month I sent the third amended scheduling order. I have the fourth one here in front of me. I can do that here after our meeting tonight. I'll just send it, or I'll send it to you, Beth, and you can get it out. Make sure.
Yeah,
if that's okay.
That's the way to do it.
But the court issued that order on the 27th of January. All it does is just because of the hearing, that Gelman just did, that's going to be this week on Thursday. about the hearing for the stay order. They pushed everything back because we need to know what's going on with that with the judge. Excuse me.
So you're saying Thursday's court hearing has been pushed back a week?
No. Thursday's court hearing is the actual hearing that the most recent submittal request to the judge from Gelman.
So that's still 9:30 on Thursday.
It's the hearing to review the Gelman's request for a stay to the order of modification of the CJ.
And that's
due to EPA.
That's a public meeting on Zoom, and there's a meeting number in the associated.
Yeah, I don't have the answer. That was in the agendas. I don't know if it's whether public can get into it, and I didn't know when. I'm sure after when things would be published from it, what would be available. So, but because of that hearing on the 4th, the rest of the middle dates and the hearing that was scheduled for the March 8th and 9th has now been postponed by approximately 2 weeks, for each of the groups. And I just mentioned the dates, and I'll send that to you, Beth, after, and you can send it out to the CARD Corps.
Yeah, I think it's important that CARD has, we need to put this on the CARD calendar, and where people have access to it and can keep up with, their own schedules. So we'll, I'll talk about that.
Yes, I confirmed today with the AG. I don't want to give out court documents, that I may be seeing related to confidentiality stuff our lawyer and lawyers. And so I confirmed today that I can identify the dates, and then if get asked, I can send out that PDF from the court. So
appreciate it. Thanks. Are we back to item D on the agenda? Is that showing up on everybody's screen?
Yeah, you have it highlighted.
So back to you, Evan.
Yeah, so MS4 drains are all the enclosed pipes in what's defined as the urbanized area. That's basically through the census. If you would like, we could send out a map. That's not the easiest thing in the world to read. And obviously there are county pipes, there are road commission pipes, there are city pipes, and each of those agencies has an MS4 permit. But obviously I would say when you're talking about within the city of Ann Arbor, it's either going to be infrastructure that's the city's or ours. When you're in Scioto Township, of course, the road commission has pipes all along Jackson Road and that type of thing. We do not, I did double check, we do not have much in the way of county drains in Scioto Township, and any of our county drains are open ditches, and open ditches are not under the MS4 permit. I don't want to get into the frustrating aspects of how that's all determined, this, that, and the other. Again, the MS4 permit is aimed at urbanized areas with a goal of seeing those improve in water quality. Urbanized areas have the worst water quality, as we all know. Whatever the problem is, the more people you have, the worse the problem is, basically. So why don't I just go ahead and share with Beth a map coverage that we have got. Staff was able to pull that together for me last week, and we can share that, but I don't know that it really helps anybody out.
Well, Evan, what I have on my Google Earth mashup is what I got from the city county data portal, a KML file that shows this teal where the drains are. And this was from a few years ago, so I don't know if this has been updated. Is there a KML version of that map? that we could just import into Google Earth? See what's blinking on and off?
I can't answer that sitting here, Roger. And quite honestly, I don't know that we're overly interested in sharing the location of all infrastructure within the city, in that type of format.
Well, this isn't very detailed. This is just the main pipes,
in everyone's best interest to be oversharing, infrastructure, because we're not talking about a water plant or a sewer plant. But at some point, there's information available, and we'll share that so at least the group can get a better understanding of if that's something that's super important or super relevant from their perspective.
But there is one question I have relating to that. Are there any places like an Allen Creek drain where it's in a pipe and then it gets out to the surface and then goes back into a pipe?
Yeah, there's a lot of places like that. Mine back behind my house in our backyard, Evil White Woods is all open drain, open creek.
But is it piped?
But once that goes into the pipe,
is it piped up gradient from that,
all the way to the river? Open and close. Mallett's Creek does have openings and closing, but Allen's Creek, pretty much once you get into the pipe, it's piped all the way to the river. So from Huron High, it's piped the river. It kind of scoots around through the golf course and athletic campus and heads to the river. And then there's 4 branches of Allen Creek that pretty well cover the west side, kind of like fingers. I mean, if you drive around, you can see all the old ravines of the creek beds and you'll see where they are. But it doesn't daylight and then go back closed anywhere in Allen.
It does behind our house, but that's probably one of the few places where.
Well, it doesn't go from a county pipe to a county open drain to a county pipe. So I believe, Vince, if I'm correct, that there's a short section of that open drain behind your house that is county, that was extended into there a few years ago, but then it goes into a pipe. Anything upstream of that open drain behind your house, Vince, is not county infrastructure. And I believe other than road crossings, it's all private infrastructure upstream of there. Certainly the city has pipes like in the Dartmoor neighborhood and stuff,
right,
that, drain through Evil White Woods, get into that open drain, but that's not part of the county system. So you got some city pipes upstream.
Right. Well, we've had trouble keeping track of what's county and what's city because it's always nebulous and not well defined depending on who wants to take responsibility, unfortunately.
But that's interesting that you said, Kevin, that MS4 doesn't apply to the open drains, only to the pipe drains.
Yep, that's correct. The whole goal of the MS4 program is really about the, even not as much the pipes themselves, it's really the end of pipe, what they call the outfalls that interface with the surface waters. So it's really a means of saying, look, wherever you connect to the surface waters, that's where our expectations are, I'll say highest.
All right.
But I will share the coverage that we have with Beth so she can share it with the card group. And we can talk a little bit further if there's something that's of value, at least for you to have to include in the coverages, Roger. I appreciate what Vince is saying. It sometimes is difficult.
All right, so City of Ann Arbor testing wet basements. We talked about this last time. Is Patty on?
There is nothing new to report, unfortunately. It's too cold.
Okay, nothing new.
I'd just like to say it'd be nice if we had gotten input from CARD on this and actually tested where it may really make a difference, which would be east of West Park and south of West Park. That's where the groundwater is closer to the surface. When you go up beyond 7th Street to the west, you're going uphill and the groundwater's not as close. So, you know, we knew that. We talked about that. That's one reason we got the Islands Creek group pushed for testing in West Park, because we knew that that could be exposures to homeowners. And now we know it's contaminated and it's spreading. But if there's another study, we need to, you know, come back to CARD and talk to the people at CARD, because we have a lot of knowledge here. Spent, like Roger said, you know, decades. He's spent a lot more than the rest of us. So take advantage of that. If we're spending money on this, we want to spend it.
Yeah. Yeah, we have resources within the group that we need to tap. Superfund letter status, that's sitting on the governor's desk, as I understand it. I don't have any updates on that. Does anybody else have any updates?
Is she going to send it?
She's not on the call. I can't ask her.
Maybe, does Kathy want to comment on that?
There's not a lot I can say. I
was thinking Kathy Griswold, but you too, Kathy. Hi, Kathy.
Hi. No, I can defer to Kathy. Noah, we're on the same page.
All right. I was at a CSG forum last night prior to our council meeting, and Youssef was on there, and he has indicated.
Well, I think my computer just hiccuped.
That I have is that Debbie is still talking to the governor as far as where that is in the process. So I think the letter itself is just moving through the process. I wish I had more.
Thanks, Katie.
And I just want to add that I was told that Debbie gave 2 talks yesterday via Zoom, one to the Chamber of Commerce and one to elected leaders within the 12th district. And she mentioned the Gelman EPA issue both times. So it's definitely on her mind. I think this is just really complicated. And with what happened in Washington recently, it's taken everyone's focus away, but I think it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, I know we're talking about it daily. She's talking about it constantly, and just trying to move all the pieces as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Okay. And the good news is I think that Gelman is taking us seriously finally.
Bad news is Gelman is not taking us seriously. When it comes to the cleanup, they've dragged their feet.
Well, they may take the EPA seriously at some future date.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to try delaying tactics, but it's not going to work that much longer.
Excuse me, guys. Sorry.
All right. Any other discussion on old business before we move to new updates? See none, we're back to Dan.
I confirm with Water Resources, the permitting people, that they don't have no new information on the NPDES permit renewal. So I check every month before the CARD meeting. So okay. That's where that's at. We're still operating under the old permit, the discharge. We already talked about this. I gave the hearing update. They've been moved, and I'll send that letter from the court, the hearing changes, the dates, out to Beth, and she'll get it out to the CARD court.
Yeah, we'll update the CARD calendar and let everybody know. Keep a special calendar, and
I'm afraid I was having trouble today, or I do it while we were on the Zoom call. I tried to do that several times today, and I got bounced off. So I'll do it after the call, just to make sure.
That's fine. Yeah, I'm having trouble with my internet right now too. As you saw, I left there for a moment, and the recording's going to have like a 30-second gap because of that. We need to talk about getting gigabit fiber throughout the whole Scioto Township here.
We have a hand raised. Ralph, do you have a question?
I would this question, the B, I'd like to try to get more information about that. And my question, I guess I would direct that to Kathy Knoll, because, you know, finding out after the hearing happened does you zero good. So do we know, Kathy, I know, has been talking to the SCIO lawyers, maybe in a more regular way than some of the other interveners. And I'm just curious, you know, what's going on with, there must have been briefs, I'm assuming, about the stay issue before the hearing on Thursday. That's what that hearing's about. So Kathy, is there any light you can shed on? Can we watch this hearing?
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yes, you can watch the hearing. It's public. I have sent out some of the Zoom connection information to some people. Yes, briefs have been filed. You know, Gelman had filed a motion for reconsideration and a motion for stay. It isn't just the stay motion, it's both of them. And yes, briefs have been filed. They're public. EGLE has filed a response brief yesterday. It's public. What else do you want me to say?
Can you just get on from the county website and read them that way, or is what way can we access those?
I think CARD should have a focal point to link all that with the calendar. So if there's
okay, they're public documents. I have some of them. I can forward some of them to Beth or Roger.
And just so everybody knows, it's very disturbing how misrepresented I feel that we are all being misrepresented. Our words, you know, that we're just this outrageous, public, angry people, and that we have no valid reason to reject the fourth CJ, even coming from EGLE now. I'm very disappointed in EGLE's response and our AG. Wait till you see it, Ralph.
Okay.
It's shocking. It's shocking.
It is. It is.
They don't care. There's no care or concern for the environment. I don't know why they talk about drinking water criteria. That has never been a concern of mine in CARD, is drinking water criteria. They need to start containing their pollution and containing it within their area they're supposed to. They have not. It contaminates new homeowner wells. It gets into the Allen Creek drain. It's at the edge of the prohibition zone. They want to make it bigger. No. They want to dump it in First Sister Lake. No. Anyway, okay, I'll stop. There's other hands raised.
Can I ask a follow-up question? Were there briefs filed to the motion for reconsideration? Because normally that would not be heard. That wouldn't be normally part of the hearing. Is this one different?
No, no briefs were filed in response to the motion for reconsideration. Judge needed to direct for those briefs to be filed, and he did not do so.
Do you expect argument to be made on that motion? Because that would be unusual as well. We don't know. Okay, so that's an open question, but there is going to be oral argument on the motion for stay.
Yes, there is.
Okay, then I know what to read and how to deal with it. At least I understand what's going on.
Ralph, would you be willing to help review what we come up with as a CARD focal point for these documents and events to make sure that we have all the points covered?
Well, I'll read them.
No, I meant,
that's all.
To get this word out to the public and to people like you that know more about it than the rest of us, that we have everything included that needs to be included.
Jack Eaton too.
Yes.
Anybody that wants to weigh in on it like that would have a little subcommittee
Kathy
going.
Griswold.
Right.
Well, I think that we should try to get Ryan Stanton to write an article on Thursday after the hearing, and if he can be given background information prior to Thursday, that may help. I am very, very concerned that the narrative for some time now has been this cancel culture of let's just ignore the interveners and the community members because the lawyers know best. And that has been reflected in a couple of documents that I received just today that were unreasonable, that we don't follow legal advice. And that's extremely troubling. We'll be having a closed session tomorrow night, City of Ann Arbor, and that's definitely on my list of topics.
Well, the lawyers were terrible about setting up the CJ agreement, not giving the community any kind of a heads up as to what was going to be in that agreement, which was outrageous. We had to figure that out ourselves. The lawyers did a terrible job, way overpaid. They shouldn't have been paid at all. The agreement that they came up with was outrageous as well. So, you know, without
data to back their reasoning, there was no data provided. We had to go do our research with our own data and science. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems with the process, and I think we need to come together on who really has the best information.
And this is costing us a ton.
Can I ask one more follow-up question? Again, to the elected officials on this call, do we know how much coordination? I mean, there was discussion last night at the city council Ann Arbor City Council meeting about coordination with, as between the interveners, and Steve Postema said in fairly clear terms that the three interveners had divvied up the tasks and you know, decided who was going to do what and tried to coordinate it. My question would be, is that happening with EGLE, or is EGLE just out on their own doing their own briefing without coordinating with the interveners? Because that would be really unfortunate if that's what's going on. That's just, I've done a fair amount of this multi-party litigation
the
where you're all on
coordinating with each other,
but not with EGLE. I mean, is EGLE participating in that coordination? Because if not, that's just totally bad process. I'll just say it flat out. That's just wrong.
So if I can, yeah. I would point to the EGLE response to the motion for a stay, where they say that the fourth amended CJ accomplishes everything they want accomplished.
Oh my God.
So just so that you know, EGLE is not with us. Well, at least the attorney from the Attorney General's office is suggesting that EGLE's not with us in our dislike of the fourth CJ. And it was alarming to read that. So I recommend that you read the motion for reconsideration, because it points out how our attorneys
read that part I'm familiar with.
It's alarming that they think our attorneys support the fourth CJ. But then the reply or the response from EGLE to the motion for a stay is ever so much more alarming.
It's really disturbing because basically Gelman's a bully and EGLE seems to be siding with the bully. I have not seen EGLE's response, but it's very disappointing to hear that. Not necessarily surprising.
I'm going to send it right now to the Cardcore group.
And I'm sorry to sort of take you know, a bunch of follow-up questions, but I think this is sort of at the core of our problem. And I guess I would direct this question to the representatives for Debbie Dingell, because if there are meetings being arranged with EGLE and the governor, this needs to be raised in a major way. If you have our representative from the state government is essentially torching our case, that's really abysmal. And I'd be tempted to write my own letter to Dana Nessel. That's just often.
Please do write your own letter.
Yeah. Do we need our
I know,
own attorney?
but you know, I can write my own letter. I'm a private citizen. You know, it's get put in the trash. The people who actually have a relationship there, this needs to be stomped on. This is as important as Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is ridiculous.
Our representatives. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I
really
do,
is.
you know, want to reiterate, first of all, I'm passing all this stuff on to Debbie, and she is well aware. She's been in all of these meetings and has heard again and again from CARD and the community and in meetings with elected officials. So when she's in there, I know that she's really reiterating what she's heard and advocating, but I want to reassure you that I'm passing along what I'm hearing here. And yeah,
I mean, I've done a lot of this multi-party stuff where you have one. I won't tell stories, but I've done a fair bit of this. If you have the person that's the judge views as the lead plaintiff, and they're going in one direction, and the subsidiary parties are going in another, they're going to be the judge is going to mainly be listening to EGLE, and that's horrible if based on what I just heard. That, you know, I haven't read these pleadings. I'm not getting paid, so that's I don't know. That just seems crazy to me.
Ralph, I will point out
we need to communicate in as many ways as possible, and Dana Nessel will be attending a fundraiser and acknowledgement of all of her environmental work next Tuesday evening, February 9th. And so if it's appropriate, I can send out the invite to CARD, or I'll just send it to Beth. But that's one more opportunity to mention this.
Thanks. I will point out that
Ryan Stanton's article, mentioning it.
Ryan Stanton's article, latest article, says that I think the city attorney said, yeah, they're working together, but the city is taking the lead on this. That was right in Brian's article.
That is correct.
And that,
I think that's accurate. The one time that I was actually in one of the court proceedings, Mr. Postma basically spoke for the crowd.
There is coordination. There's definitely opportunity for improvement. And I would say additional efficiencies for cost savings.
I'd just like to be on the record. The only public comment I've ever made about this, I want to say that I expressed my disappointment with EGLE, and it excerpted from that the fine work that the guys in the field are doing, like Dan Hamel. So don't let I don't want to cross the line, Dan. I really appreciate what you're doing for us, and I know the field work is different from being up there in the AG's office or whatever. And so,
as I've said, I don't take it personal.
I know. I just wanted to say that.
I understand your complaints and frustration.
You know.
And so,
well, I think you've really done a lot in these last couple of years to help us out. And, it's appreciated.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we'll look for those materials that are being sent, and Beth and I will coordinate and get back to you, Ralph, and Jack, and anybody else that wants to weigh in on this, so we can at least have links to all the documents involved to make sure everybody's got the latest dates so they can plan their days accordingly.
Would it be worthwhile for CARD to submit a response to EGLE's response before Thursday?
That may happen. I haven't read EGLE's response, so yeah.
Yeah, we're not a party, so.
I mean, CARD isn't a party right now to this, and I think for this one, I don't think it's appropriate for CARD to submit a response.
It wouldn't be submitted to the court. It would just be, what is our position on this response to the responses, within CARD. So people read the response, and here's what CARD, here's some concerns that CARD has with the responses. So it's an internal to CARD communication. Doesn't have to go to the judge.
To the court?
Doesn't have to go to the court. We're not a party to the case.
Who would it go to?
Well, it'll go to all the other interveners and, you know, and to the public, and the public will contact their representatives as they normally do and weigh in. You know, it's whether we have a democracy or not, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember, this hearing on Thursday is focused just on a couple issues. The more important hearing is coming up in late March.
If it happens.
So keep that in mind.
If it happens. If this hearing goes the one way, it's not going to happen, right? I mean, if Gelman wins, that hearing is not going to happen.
That is correct. But also remember, with the scheduling order that was issued by the judge, pushing the dates out 2 weeks at the time this hearing was scheduled suggests that the scheduling dates are still in place and the plan to have the March hearing is still in place.
Yeah, that's reading the tea leaves, Kathy.
Well, thanks a lot.
That's all right. Hey, you know, that's what you got to do.
I think it's important that we review what's out there, and everybody can weigh in on it if they so choose. We get some consensus on this. Let's keep moving here.
Right. Well, and I'm just afraid that if this is what EGLE is saying, then what are the attorneys we know have wanted to sell this CJ, and all of a sudden, oh, in 2 weeks, we're just going to have CJ4 and nobody gets a say, that our democracy will be squashed and the First Sister Lake will be destroyed, and it goes on and on and on.
You should have their hair on fire, and they seem to be not considered, you know, what the issue is.
You can't really, I mean, let's let the hearing happen. I mean, they're not going to do anything different between now and Thursday. If the hearing ends up getting stayed, then that's one result. If the hearing isn't stayed, then there's going to be an opportunity to sit, and I'm assuming I'll direct this to Kathy Griswold, that session, closed session is about this.
It's about Gelman legal strategy.
Right.
And that's all I've been told.
So that you can talk to them about what needs to happen. And, you know, that piece, I guess I would just encourage our elected officials on this call to, if EGLE isn't really going to take consistent positions, then our people, Steve Postema, Bill Stapleton, I don't know the county person's name, I don't remember, they're going to have to really get in there and lead the charge, as it were, and take the positions that we want them to take. And at least, I don't think I'm saying anything that any of the other lawyers on this call would not say, is that the client really needs to push what the arguments are, or the lawyers are just going to do what they want to do. And it's hard in this case seems to be very hard to get the lawyers to really go along the track, but it's not impossible. It just has to be pushed on and pushed on hard every chance you get. It's really
Ralph,
all you can do.
we are well aware of that.
Yes. I know you are. I know you are.
We pushed today and we will continue to.
That's all.
And we could use your support.
You have all of them.
Unfortunately, we don't have the support of the mayor of Ann Arbor, which is a big deal.
Well, yeah.
Well, that could be a transition point.
So I want to note that I've posted links to the motion for reconsideration and motion for stay in the chat on this call. If you want to, you click on those links, it should take you to a Google sharing page where you can download those documents.
And the responses are in there too?
Beth sent the EGLE response, but you know, I have not seen any response regarding the motion for stay. I don't have that.
Okay. So that's been filed, at least that's what Kathy, I thought.
It's filed.
Yeah, so, okay. So we'll be able to get a hold of those, I hope. I'd like to read them before the hearing.
So the mayor has changed his position?
Well,
I did not say that. I said this is a transition point, sort of teachable moment.
I guess.
It's the only EGLE representative as far as the please read the response that Beth sent out, you know, just to kind of give you a little heads up. That
I want to do.
We weren't trying to the response does not involve the whole Fourth Amended CJ. It really relates to what was viewed as what was accepted by the group, you know, some of the issues that, some of the parts that there is not any, you know, there was not any opposition to. So read it. It's not for the whole CJ. Beth, you had said, hey, so we don't get a say and they'll just put the CJ in. It's selected parts of what was done in the CJ. So read it though. Before you,
Dan Hamel, who wrote the response?
It was our Attorney General and with EGLE management.
What level of management?
I don't know, Roger.
All right. Well, we'll.
My issue was that. What?
I was going to say we're going to take the.
May I just say that?
Third time's a charm. Let's go. One.
My 30-second delay is causing problems here.
Oh, okay. I took exception with the fact that EGLE attributed motive to the interveners that was not appropriate nor accurate. That's all I'll say.
I mean, read it. I mean that. I don't mean you. I meant everybody read it. And I'm not saying I disagree. I mean, I'm not, but it's not like the whole CJ that was sent and was rejected by the interveners. I mean, what we're asking or what we're identifying is pieces of that to move forward with implementation of the 7.2, the new criteria, 280, 7.2, gather, you know, a starting point to gather some information that could be utilized to evaluate some of the other areas where you have, you know, where there's questions and then we took out, you know, the stuff about that there were very big objections of, you know, the pumping the well there in Parkland and putting into First Sister Lake, those types of things. So I just wanted to point that out.
So this is CJ 3.5.
I always call it the mini CJ.
I didn't notice that it was just parts. So you're right. I did panic.
It's not like we're telling the judge, no, you need to accept everything that we sent, the first one that we sent out for your, you know, the stakeholders review. It's selected parts that was, you know, that was identified, or our impression was, EGLE's impression was not contested by stakeholders.
And no settlement agreement that says the EPA can't be coming in without $1 million penalty and all that?
Yeah, that's, as I understand it, I mean, it basically, you know, to implement the portions of the CJ, but without, and I don't know the legal term, without prejudice, that you could have those still remain in the standing, still continue on with what is the stakeholders and interveners are doing. It's just what we wanted to do is get started with some components to gather some additional information to evaluate some of the risks that you guys are pointing out, you know, in certain areas. Is it everything that everybody wants? No, it's you know, but it's key components that we think we should move on with to implement the 7.2 criteria, the 280 GSI criteria and start the process.
I just want to apologize if I misspoke. My comments were directed towards the EGLE, the document that the Attorney General's office sent out today or yesterday. Right. Are we still talking about that?
That's what I'm, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I mean, it's part of it because the back part of that document, flip the page, is the CJ that is not the whole CJ. It's pieces.
Yes.
So I just wanted to, when you read that, realize that that's the part of it. It's you know, why we think that it's a good start is basically and there's verbiage in there like you said, Kathy. I mean that you know, you can read as, well, this is, you know, confrontational or not agreeing with what, you know, was the interveners, you know, and so but I just want to make it clear that what we're trying to do is get something started that we think will give us valuable information in determining exposure and risk related to the Gelman contamination.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thanks.
And so just to comment on that, the reason that I think many people were shocked when they read it was that several of the assertions made by EGLE were incorrect.
And
so that's the problem.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. You know, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. I mean, I just
let's stop there.
You know,
let's stop. Let's move on.
As a technical side, I just, you know, for me, I don't disagree, and I don't, and that was more of a legal document. So, you know, what I want to get across is what we're trying to do. What I'm trying to do, I just pointed back to me. What I'm trying to do is let's get some information. Let's get things started. And I believe it answers it. It doesn't take any of your rights away. It's without prejudice or with prejudice, whatever it is in the legal terms that you can still be doing, you know, but we get and requires Gelman to do things just like they're under the CJ now, they're required to do. So that would be putting in some more wells, modifying the sampling, you know, work down in West Park area, gathering some information.
All right, we better move on a little bit here so we can get done. I got some important information to share. I don't want to run over.
Evaluations and determine where are additional data gaps that we need to answer to evaluate risk, you know, from the contamination. So whether it's related to drinking water, vapor intrusion, you know, into wet basements, those types of things. So.
This is an opportunity to make Gelman do the right thing, and they won't do it on their own. Having EPA involved could be the lever that aren't going to happen otherwise, because Gelman knows they can get away with all kinds of weird stuff, what they've been doing for the last 40 years. We know we can't trust them. No reason to think Gelman's going to do the right thing.
Well, right. And
they're evil people.
What we're
my
trying
opinion.
To doesn't take away from you pursuing what you just said, Vince, you know, what the state interveners and stakeholders are doing. It gets started with some of we think it's a start. Of the current CJ as far as information and evaluation.
All right. Did we cover enough of this drain issue to skip over this?
Right. It was answered. We have that letter. And so we're going to be meeting with Gelman, Water Resources Division, Remediation and Redevelopment Division, and Washtenaw County. So, and start moving on, implement required activities to eliminate the illicit discharge.
Okay. Did you have anything else new, Dan?
See, let me get my notes here. 1 second. I've got too many. I moved it. I'm still working on putting the all of the residential well sampling results into the database and posting that information on. I've been given. I will also. People will start receiving again listserv notifications. We just got back permission and got a procedure to get that back up and running. Not only just the Gelman site, but any of the listservs that were held up because of the COVID this last year. We were told, hey, don't send anything out because, you know, we were using that with COVID, and so I've been given permission. So there'll be within the next month or two a listserv. So if you're on the Gelman webpage listserv list, I think there's approximately 1,600 people, emails that are on that list. They will start getting
That's
information.
Good to know. And you're compiling the data into your child access database. So through December.
Right. I have basically this residential wells. This last time there was 20 or so wells that had never been sampled. So I didn't have a spot for them in the database.
Right.
So I put everything that I have in there.
You're going to have that done like in the next few days?
Probably not in the next few days, Roger. I will have it done by the end of February.
End of February is too late. This is the time I normally do my Google Earth mashups from the prior year.
I'm going to have to. I won't have it done. I had already planned to post what I have, the access database for the current the last month. You know, it's a month behind the actual month, so I'm going to go ahead and post it, and then I'll continue to update.
Yeah, but I'd like to have the 2020 data to work with.
Oh, again, it's I don't believe I can get that in the next couple of days. I know I can't. I get too much on my platter.
Any other discussion about EGLE updates? I think I'm going to switch to this is the PDF version, which doesn't have the comments on it. So I'm going to go back to what I had before. Card minutes, card agenda. So what I started doing on the agenda draft is I started making my own notes so I don't have to go to a separate document when I want to look at it. I want to show you that without December's data, at least, I have the 2020 highest ever readings for the site. Let's see here. You should be looking at the Google Earth mashup at this point. Turn off the ScioView wells. Go down here to the max per year. Here's the areas that had the highest ever readings for each of these wells in 2020. So you can see a lot of them are in the northern part. There's also this well here that's at the boundary of Saginaw Forest and the ScioView Old Smith Farm property. And I mean, this is what it would have been, and I can't remember if it's S or D. I think it's S, isn't it? Had the highest ever. It's up to 3 parts per billion right on the edge. So somehow this dioxane that's in Saginaw Forest, it's made its way west. And the theory is that why is it going west? And it could be that it's following along the path of the tributary, just like this is following along the path of this tributary. And if that's true there, then that might be happening up here as well, north and northwest of DuPont Circle, where these...
Breaking up, Roger.
Say what?
You're breaking up.
30 seconds. We didn't hear you.
Sorry.
Interesting. So you heard me talking about MW 128.
No.
No.
Well,
Roger, you just cut out for about 40 seconds or so, like Dan was saying.
Well, I think what I better do here is...
Plus, of course, you're gone again.
I'm going to turn off my background.
It looks like he may be.
He may be.
I'll turn off my background. That sometimes helps if I can get to it. I have to stop sharing for a second.
Or,
yep, I think so.
That might be a big draw.
The computer has to work really hard when it has all these things open. So let me turn off the background and see if that speeds things up a little bit. And of course, I'm running about 200 megabytes of Google Earth mashup here. But this is the 3 parts per billion on the edge of Saginaw Forest. Can you hear me now?
You're still breaking up a little bit. Yep.
No map.
The image is coming through?
No.
No image. Your screen's just not shared.
That's why. Let me go back and reshare.
The map may be too much for your bandwidth.
So I was talking about 3 parts per billion here on the edge of the Saginaw Forest, and that dioxide might be following along the path of this tributary, just like it does on this tributary that they discharge into. And if that's true there, it might be happening up here where there's another highest ever reading, north and northwest of DuPont Circle, where there's really high concentrations. And if it happens to be falling underneath this tributary, that's another pathway that it could make it into Barton Pond. And this area here has been largely ignored as far as at the deeper elevation. And I'll have some more to say about that. I have a 2009 statement from the company from consultants that said...
Breaking up, Roger.
So what can I do about that?
It's possible. Or turn off your video.
I'm going to close some applications here.
Or shut your email account down.
The email's not doing it.
$100 to Comcast to give you a higher speed.
And Dan gets a cut.
I'm sorry, I didn't. Needed the laugh a little bit.
Yeah, but we'll got our link pretty soon anyway from Elon.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's in northern Michigan already.
If I stop to share, let's see if that makes a difference. So if I'm talking now, you can hear me without interruption. If I keep talking.
Yes.
Right.
I'm not breaking up.
Sounds good. Nope.
So I was saying that that MW 128 had a 3 part per billion on the edge of the Saginaw Forest that's going along that tributary. And the same thing could be happening up at MW 129D that's heading northwest through Scioto Township, where there's scores of township wells. And it's almost like we're back to early days when the company and EGLE are relying upon township wells to detect the dioxin because there's not enough monitoring wells.
Sentinels.
Well, that's in effect what they were. The original detections were in township wells that have since been annexed to the city, like in Beth's neighborhood. And I think we're going back to that by not having enough monitoring and control of the plume in areas where it's spreading. By the way, Dan Hamel.
Roger, 128, and what was the other one that you just mentioned up toward
MW 129D is continuing to creep up. And by the way, that's only 2 football fields away from township wells across M14. I was going to put up a graphic that shows 2 football fields away. there are township wells, and we don't know what depths they are in all cases, but we're not talking about half mile. We're talking about 2 football fields away from that hit. I'm going to jump on and I'm going to make sure we get through this. The well resurveys that you sent me, Dan, that we talked about.
Yep.
From 2017 and 18. And when we were talking about it, you sent those to me. I was thinking, well, we haven't gotten these, but I went back and looked, and you actually did send those in a timely fashion when you got them.
Yeah, I thought I did, but Roger, it's really 2016 and 17 and 18. You know, yeah.
Yeah, that's recent history for me.
Well, like I said, I have old memory trips in my head. So
I don't trust my memory. I trust my email archives, and I went back and found them. But we still want to know what prompted those. What prompted those resurveys of X, Y locations for those wells? I've
asked that question, Roger, to Gelman, because I've asked for the latest, what I call the master well list, which is basically all the wells in the database. Mm-hmm. The well list that gives, that I use for access, and they are generating one for me. And I did broach that subject, saying, okay, why do you resurvey? And so they're going to give me that information. I said, when things change, I'd like to know why things change. Was it because your set does it every quarter or every month, notice something with the well, hey, the well protective casing, something happened or whatever. So they have not given that information back to me yet. Based upon our call.
Did you look at any of those resurveys and see how much different they were from, how accurate they were, how much the well shifted from the resurvey?
A little. I don't recall. I did look at them and I noticed there was differences. I couldn't remember them now. I'd have to see the table again.
Yeah, well, I've got those.
Kind of my comparison again.
They range from 0.7 feet, less than a foot, to 142, 170 feet difference. So my question is, what should the standard be when you have an XY for a well? Plus or minus how many feet from where it really is? Are there any standards?
That's related to how they collect. Yes, that would be related to the instrumentation and the program they are currently using to get those. The older stuff, it's related to, it's going to be a wider range, plus or minus. The newer
No, I seem to have frozen.
you know, with the new instrumentation, and you know that they're getting their XYs from. So there is a range. It just depends on what instrument they're using.
Is there a table of that? Is there a document that shows what it used to be and what it should be now?
No, I don't know of a doc. I haven't made any comparison that way.
I mean, is 10 feet good? Is 50 feet good?
I think 10 feet is for our purposes, for my purposes of evaluating groundwater plume, a horizontal distance of 10 feet is real good. On the vertical side, elevation wise, in evaluating groundwater flow, that 10 feet would not be a good. You need to be down within the elevation within tenths of feet, point
yeah.
one,
so inches. Inches makes a difference.
Because right. If it's a very flat groundwater level, it's very flat. You could be wrong. You can predict groundwater flow incorrectly. But 10 feet along horizontal with all the wells and the distance we're talking, 4+ miles long and 1+ miles wide. That is a very good. That's for how we evaluate things. That's very good.
All right, that's what I wanted to get down, because I'm wondering how many other wells are not accurate right now, and how many people use those inaccurate data to project groundwater flows.
That's why I asked for the latest, their latest version of the master well list, and so I plan to. I'll pass that on to you when I get it, and you can make a comparison. It's an Excel file. At least that's what I've been getting, and you can identify what the range is. Is it in the different categories, so we can see that range difference. But you're right. Until someone resurveys it, you don't know if how accurate and if it's a good elevation or location to utilize. Your MW14S, I think, was one of the, or MW14 cluster, whichever one.
That was really bad.
Survey that because it was, it was way off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jenny even asked me about that.
Right.
So
the other thing I want to talk about is our information infrastructure for this project and getting ready for getting the EPA in. Because there's information that comes from all these different entities, stakeholders that are members of CARD. And from the public comments and that were received and aggregated and not always shared, it's clear that we can do better on our information infrastructure. Even like we talked about earlier tonight about when are these meetings scheduled and where are the documents. So I want to tighten up what CARD is able to do as a locus point for all this information. And what I want to propose for all the people that are elected officials or staff officials, that we might want to have a subgroup of the information people from each entity, from the city, the county, the townships, to talk about what information do we have a need to share on a regular basis in using CARD as the focal point. Like, for instance, I have layers that come from different entities for my Google Earth mashups. Just to do an inventory of what we have, what's out there that we don't have that we could use. And so I want to pursue that this month, along with everything else, to get some of the key staff people who know these things. What are the data that each entity has, and this would include the Water Resources Commissioner data as well, for the data that is able to be made public. So we know what's out there. We know what we already have access to and what other ones we need access to, and some timing involved in that. So I'm just putting that out there as a thought for something we need to do. Let's see, where's my agenda thing?
Roger, while you're looking, can I just mention to everybody that I tried to forward the drain map that Evan has there in the chat, and it was too large to send through Google Groups. So if people that are
No, you don't want to send that. You don't want to send the attachment. We're going to store that in the card location and send the link. Don't ever send big attachments to card core.
Okay, well, it's in the chat. Evan put it in the chat.
Yeah,
so I was going to just tell people
saved.
If they were interested.
You and I will talk about this afterward. We can get all this nailed down a little bit. So yeah, so we need to work on information infrastructure so everybody is on the same page and has a good grasp of the site, including the lawyers. And you get this all organized at least until the EPA takes over. So the CJ, we already talked about that, getting that in one focal point and getting the calendar up to date. Interviews at public meetings. We might want to start doing some formal press releases as things heat up here. So we might need a subcommittee just to review press releases. So that's another thing to be thinking about, and be prepared, you know, in the back of your mind, do you want to be part of that and keeping the public informed about this and the news elements informed. I know I had an email exchange with Michigan Radio because they were kind of out of the loop lately, and I wanted to make sure we have a list of all the news agencies that cover this, because we don't want any misinformation to get out there and we have to somehow retract it. And a couple more things. During the SCIO Board of Trustees meeting, Mark Smith mentioned options that were discussed with EGLE for replacing compliance well cluster 62 SIND. And he said that they're also talking about new purge wells somewhere near there. And that's the first I've ever heard of that. Dan Hamel, do you know anything about that? Any new purge wells in the west of Saginaw Forest?
No, I think he may be mixing up purge wells. No, I have not. I think
maybe he's talking about
the western.
Maybe he's talking about east of the Saginaw Forest then. Maybe
yeah, I think he on-site proposed on-site purge wells as part of the pump and treat for the on-site work
for the fourth CJ.
I haven't heard,
but he wouldn't have any information that's not already been covered in card, would he? I mean, other than the fact that his lawyer was going to be the same as the township lawyer at one point, there wouldn't be.
Yeah, I mean, he may have that information. I don't know if the same lawyer, and you know whether that's.
I think that's discussed. Not a done deal. I think that's gone by the wayside. But it just concerned me that I heard that and thought maybe somebody had.
No, I haven't heard anything related to pumping west of the Saginaw Forest. I mean, which.
He also said that any vapor intrusion that would be happening there in ScioView would not be an issue because of two things. One is that there's already the new construction requires a vapor barrier membrane in any new construction. And also because of the radon that permeates the area that we live in, that radon remediation might take care of it if there was any. And of course, we don't.
Yeah, the restrictive covenant, I believe the restrictive covenant that Smith had to get, to get the property, there's a restrictive covenant on there. I believe identified that if you're putting new residential homes, you got to do at least evaluate the vapor intrusion pathway, exposure pathway, and then, or preemptive installation of a vapor barrier. And you are correct. The unit or the remediation of the gases related to radon is the same type of unit that they would put into it's a same type could be used to remedy vapor intrusion, vapors from the buildings. So yeah, if you have a radon system, that's a protection.
I don't have any information about radon in the area, but that might relate back to what each of the government stakeholders might be able to contribute to CARD. That's related information.
You can do some presumptive stuff and still, build, without.
If you have high concentrations, though, you could run into trouble. The fan may not pull out enough if you have high concentrations.
Right. I mean, you'd have to evaluate the system.
Yeah.
Performance monitoring would have to be completed at least for some duration.
As we saw in West Park, it goes up and up and up, and how do you stay on top of that? That becomes a problem.
And it may be that it might vary from scores of feet away. One house could have it
right, but you also have it. You identified a vapor barrier. They put that down first, so and I'm not a remediation engineer, so I'm just going from my experience. I mean, it's a belt and suspenders type with a vapor barrier and a radon system type system for vapor intrusion.
Anyway, so that's something that we still need to pay attention to. And of course, I still head out here, this MW128S, that 3 parts per billion next door that's heading that way. My last thing here relates to a comment that was made back in 2009. I'm gonna bring it up here and try sharing the screen again and hope my audio doesn't break up too much. And I'm gonna zoom in on this and let you read this comment. So let me go to share screen again. So this was talking about, this was part of the analysis for groundwater flow direction in 2009, when they're talking about expanding the prohibition zone. Remember, this was the original prohibition zone. So they're talking about this area here, the deep E aquifer. They said there's no way that the E aquifer, that the deep E aquifer is more than 2,000 feet south of the expanded prohibition zone. So there's no way dioxane would be there. This is back in just 2009. There's no way that this dioxane could make it all the way up to here. All right, that was 2009, right? Here's 2019, 2020. Now we have dioxane that's within 174 feet of that boundary. So it's most of the way through that 2,000 feet. And it's deep, it's the E aquifer. So when you're talking about expanding prohibition zones, you better have good data, because apparently in 2009, we didn't have good enough data. consultant made that prediction, and he was dead wrong. We still don't have enough monitoring wells between these points here to know how did the dioxane get to DuPont Circle. No one's done an analysis that shows how it got there. We still don't know. So I'd leave you with that. Any questions? We can't just be doing the same old year after year after year. We really need to have the level of due diligence on this project to match the scale of the problem. And this is the biggest 1,4-dioxane contamination of its type in the country. We shouldn't be trying to manage this like it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. It's going to be a big deal all the rest of our lifetime.
Today's Groundhog Day.
Yeah. It's like every card meeting is Groundhog Day. Come on. All right.
Well, this is why we need EPA involved in this, because we can't deal with it otherwise. There's no way. The state of Michigan and Ann Arbor, South Township ain't going to be able to deal with this. It's pretty apparent.
Let's see, anything else? I covered all my stuff in record time. It's probably because I couldn't share my screen enough. Non-agenda items, there was one that you brought up, Vince, at the beginning. Did we cover that enough?
I forget what it was at this point.
Yeah, it's 8 o'clock. I think we should just wrap it up.
It was money spent, Vince. The money that is being spent by interveners.
The Ann Arbor City Council thing.
Yeah, it's been a lot of money spent, and I think we've gone backwards. We haven't really gone forward. We're in a worse place than we were 10 years ago, and we spent over $1 million. And I think we need to make sure that our public officials realize that EPA is our only hope, because it's pretty apparent that that's the only way we can do it. And I'm so disheartened that our elected officials and our government officials are not covering our backs. We pay them. They should be out here taking care of business. We have people losing wells. We have basements being contaminated. So
my internet just froze. I don't know about you guys.
Been completely wasted. Judgment is an improvement over that. I can't say anything more than that. If we had sought EPA intervention in 2017 rather than intervening, we would have been tinkering with the Trump EPA, not Biden EPA. So I think that it's a lot of money. I think that we have the potential to piss away a lot more money, but we did make a good effort. And I don't fault our attorneys for not negotiating a better agreement. They're up against a pretty muscular polluter, and so I agree with you that the EPA is the right route to go. I don't know that going there sooner would have gotten us a better result than we're going to face going forward.
I've talked to EPA people, and they said when there is a responsible party, it's a totally different situation. And we have a responsible party with $140 billion in their that they own, and that's a lot of money.
I'm not going to argue that point at this point. I do think it's more complicated than that. On the other hand, I will point out that I'm very alarmed that the interveners' attorneys are letting the judge push us towards this 2-day hearing thing. I think that the polluter has a good point to make, that they're entitled to a full trial, not a 2-day hearing. And if we go through with the 2-day hearing, we're going to spend about a year in the appellate courts. And then we're going to come back and we're going to start all over with a full trial under the state laws. So I think that will be a waste of money if we go forward with the 2-day abbreviated hearing. And so we should be alarmed by that. But I'm pretty confident that our Congresswoman and our governor and our Attorney General are going to get us EPA representation on this. And I think that's the route we should go. The EPA will in fact work with EGLE. It's not going to just completely preclude them from involvement. But you know, in the federal process, we won't be subject to all of the delay and posturing that Gelman has put us through so far. So
I hope you're right.
I wanted to point out one thing in addition to that. I guess 2 points. One is I share a lot of the concern about what already happened, and you know, placing accountability on people for decisions is always important. On the other hand, we are where we are now, and I think the question really is, how much money do you want to spend going forward, and can you figure out how to handle it in some way where the intervener lawyers can strip it to as simple as it gets so as to not spend a giant amount of money. I share Jack's point about the 2-day hearing versus a full trial. And the problem is there's other procedural objections that Gelman has raised, which is probably going to make whatever happens at this hearing get appealed for a year or more and maybe end up with a do-over. So the money that you spend could be pretty much just wasted. On the other hand, the way that at least in Ann Arbor, I can't speak to SCIO or the county really, but maybe partly the county too. The way that it was used to convince the elected officials and other people that were involved to go with the EPA was full court press, use everything you got. And if you don't pay the lawyers to do the state court litigation, you're effectively not being consistent at all. And you're sort of undercutting your argument. I'm not sure that the EPA letter would have gotten sent if the full court press idea that I know Kathy Griswold and others championed, that's probably why that got passed. So yeah, it's an expensive way to get the vote to go the right way, but that's sort of what happened here. And you know, a full trial of this with all interveners, say it's I don't know, 20-day trial, you're talking maybe, at least 7 figures, way more than 7 figures. If you're talking about all 3 counsel, it's a huge amount of money to run trials. And at some point, maybe at some point if the EPA says we're ready to go, we're moving in, maybe at that point you just say, you know, we're not doing the state court stuff anymore, cut it. But right now, you know, right in the middle, this makes Gelman at least know that everybody's serious and they're going to have a fight on their hands here too. And maybe at some point they come to the table. That was really the point of it. Sorry, that's a bit of a long speech, but.
And I just want to thank everyone who came before us and the people that have been at this for decades, such as Dan Bicknell and especially Roger Rail. One of my favorite books is The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell. I don't know if most people are familiar with it, but just read the summary, because I really feel like we put all this energy in. We've done this full court press, and now we're almost to the tipping point. And I think that we're going to reap the benefit of all of this work. And we have to be thankful for all the people that have been working so hard. And when we compare where we are today to where we were even 12 months ago, we now have full support for the EPA from each of the intervener groups. We have elected officials at the state level who were opposed to EPA Superfund status, who no longer are. They're not all out there strongly advocating for it.
As a follow-up comment to that, thank you, Kathy, that the other Malcolm Gladwell book that I'll put to Roger and Dan Bicknell and Vince and probably several others, after 10,000 hours, you really know what you're talking about.
I didn't know there was going to be homework.
Oh, yeah.
Put it in the chat.
Yeah, just the cliff notes.
Yeah, there's a lot of snakes in the grass still out there. Don't kid yourselves. Yeah. Keep your eyes open.
Yeah, well, we've got the big guns here.
Yeah.
All right. Any last minute thoughts?
I think Roger's frozen again.
You're breaking up, Roger.
I already lost connection twice.
Thanks, Roger.
So I'll have to edit this video. It'll have some gaps in it.
Oh, well.
I might have to have.
Okay, and Evan Pratt is back. You just missed all the thank yous for all the people that have worked so hard for so long.
I heard everything.
Oh, okay. I just saw your picture pop up. So, and everything that Jack Eaton has done. You know, it's definitely been a group effort.
Thanks, Kathy.
You're welcome.
It takes a village, as I always say.
Yes.
So we're not done.
We're
done with this meeting. So goodbye, everyone. Oh, did everybody see my grandson before I go?
No.
Yeah, Kathy, you got on too late. Let me bring him back up here. Virtual background. Is this it? Yeah, here we go. There's Nico.
Oh, congratulations, Roger.
He's a week old in that picture.
Looking great.
Yeah.
Best of luck to you.
I was thinking back about all the things that happen. Life happens when you're working on this Gelman thing, you know. I lost both sets of parents, and we got kids graduated and married, and now they're having babies. And I don't want to be a grandparent, a great grandparent, and still have this hanging over me.
We're working on it.
Yeah.
Well, can I introduce myself? Can I introduce myself?
Yeah, please do. I didn't have your last name in here, so.
Yeah, it's my name is Bill Shakora. This is my first card meeting. I spoke at the meeting that Debbie Dingle hosted. I spoke. I talked to Jack Eaton after that. So I've been an environmental lawyer for 25 years.
Oh.
I used to represent Delphi. So I worked with Dan Bicknell for many years. I know him. I am a recent transplant to Ann Arbor, and you actually learned about the Gelman plume site literally in law school. I went to law school in 1992. That's how long this has been. It's been going on longer than that. So I am interested in getting more involved. And like I said, this is my first meeting. I hope to attend more. I will attend more, and just wanted to quickly introduce myself.
Thank you much.
Welcome.
Welcome, Bill.
Do I have your email? Were you
put it
on the card core list?
Send your email. Put your email and name in the chat, and send it to.
I emailed. Yeah, this one. I emailed Jenny Kahn earlier today. And
no, send it to Card though.
Send to Beth.
Yes.
Or to Beth Collins. Yeah. Beth, maybe you could put your email in the chat.
That's true.
I'll figure that out. That's easy enough.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave this up for a while. So you live in Scio now, Bill, or where do you live?
I live over by Mathi Botanical Gardens.
Oh, okay.
So on kind of the other side of town, and For those of you who are on city council, I am probably better known as Amy Sell's husband.
Oh, I know Amy Sell.
Oh, you know yes, I know Amy. Yes, our kids went to school together. Right. Welcome.
So yeah, I am. And Ingrid Sheldon's son-in-law.
Yes, I know that too, right?
Good. So. Good credentials.
Yeah, so like I said, Amy and I bought a house. Amy was born and raised in.
So Mike Moran knows you.
Pardon me?
Mike Moran, who just left the meeting. He was the township supervisor until very recently, but he's still a trustee.
So I've been, I lived in Northville for many years, just came to Ann Arbor, and I'm interested in getting involved.
Good.
And you know, I'm good friends with Mike Caldwell, and you know, I know all these people, so I'm, you know, like, because I'm happy to get more.
Good. Then now the rest of us lawyers on here can just let you talk, because
well, no, but I need to learn more. That's the thing, is I honestly don't know that much about the details. Okay. So
yeah, we need to
know it's really, really bad.
This would make a good law school exam if you're ever.
Oh, it would be. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, it's time for a case study.
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all.
Yeah, welcome. I just put my email in the chat to you, Bill, personally, just so copy my email down and email me.
Reply to her with your email and name.
If I knew how to do that, that'd be.
Go to chat. Go to chat.
I'm a lawyer. I don't know anything about computers. So okay.
You'll learn.
I'll email Jenny and get your email.
You go to chat and you reply to her message to you. That's the way it works.
Well, good seeing everyone. I'll be sending, I guess, the information for Thursday too to anyone that wants to Zoom and listen to the hearing or the.
Yeah, Beth, you and I need to coordinate tomorrow sometime. Let's see what's my calendar look like.